Hi, and welcome to the Voices of the South. This is the podcast where we interview social innovators from the Global South and the people who support them. In this podcast, you will learn a little bit about the history of the social innovator, their project, and the change they have created. Thank you for hearing us and be sure to enjoy the episode. When you visit the site of AILEM, one of the things that you see is their slogan, created by refugees for refugees. This slogan is meant to invoke a sense of support and companionship towards people who have been forced to leave their places of birth for the chance to have a better life. When refugees leave their original houses, they don't do it lightly. They leave behind their friends, their families, their customs, and even their languages. As such, to be able to arrive at a new place in a new society where you can already have some kind of support is invaluable. This is what ILM is for over 8,000 refugees in different countries and has the potential to be as helpful for approximately 35.3 million refugees around the world. ILM is a language app that aims to help refugees learn the language of the country, in this case, French and English, where they are being sheltered. And as of now, they are offering the courses in 5 languages, including Arabic, Ukrainian, and Swahili. Today, we have the pleasure of talking with the founders of AILEM, Abobakar and Xinyao, who will share with us a bit of their story and also their future. As such, without anything else to say, welcome Xinyao and Abobakar to the Voices of the South. It's a pleasure having you here, guys.
Thank you so much for having us. We're
Thanks
very
a lot.
excited to share about our work today.
Please, well, we had an interview. We made an interview a few years ago. Things happened. That didn't came out. But I'm really eager to hear you guys telling me what is the news, how things have happened. But before we go into too much into that part, please tell me what brought to you the idea to create this innovation. What brought to you the idea of creating ILM?
So perhaps I can share a little bit more about what ILEM is, in
Yeah.
addition to your wonderful introduction for us. And you exactly mentioned that we are a language learning and integration app that supports refugees and asylum seekers worldwide. And we support refugees all around the world, from Belgium and the Netherlands to Malawi and Bangladesh. And we have worked in more than 10,000 downloads and also engaged with more than 1,500 refugees and asylum seekers in person. So yeah, and the inspiration of ILM is really based on our own personal experiences.
Yeah, so when I first moved to Afghanistan, to Belgium from Afghanistan, I couldn't speak French, and I had to learn French on my own. So I picked up a dictionary and started memorizing words, which was not the best thing to do. And that was one of my main inspiration.
And for me, I was volunteering at a refugee center in Cardiff, teaching English to local refugees in the area. And obviously, we know a few years ago when we started the app, there was COVID, and we wanted to find perhaps online where learners can learn at their own pace and also in their own homes as well. So we wanted to find a solution based on have our both experiences of our this background of programming and also my experience of teaching English. And we wanted to find perhaps innovation to help refugees and asylum seekers. And it was quite funny because we thought it would be a very simple project and will be done in the summer. And 3 years, almost 4 years later, we're still working on it. So that's a crazy journey.
Please go ahead, Abubakar. I don't.
Yeah,
You were
yeah, I was
trying to
gonna
say
say like
something.
those were one of the main reasons, and especially when I didn't have like French classes in the support as a refugee. And there were not enough content in my mother tongue, which is Pashto in Afghanistan. And that was also one of the main inspiration that kind of pushed me and us to create a platform which is more inclusive for refugees and asylum seeker community.
Okay, yeah, but let's go a little bit back. As you mentioned, you didn't have the access to proper tools to learn French. I imagine, well, I don't know how it's in Brussels if you have access to language courses or something similar. But then I'm thinking that you grab all your experiences from learning a language by yourself, uh, how difficult it was, what were the things that you needed the most, and then you put them into the application. Because as far as I know, you guys have your own curricula. No, you don't. You don't go, for example, the Duolingo, that is the hippopotamus across the road or something like that. You actually have like proper sentences that can become helpful, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that was also a really big inspiration or factor in the design of our app. We always get asked, why don't refugees use other apps or platforms out there? And for us, we wanted ours to be really, really specific for our niche, and we wanted our design of the curriculum to really follow the kind of the journey that a refugee and asylum seeker might take when they arrive in a new country. So, learning words upon their arrival, for example, at the immigration office, which is a big part of the beginning of for any asylum seekers, and then also about the supermarket and then at school and work. So, we really want to follow kind of the trajectory. And another big aspect that is quite different to other platforms is we want it to be really sensitive of the cultural and geographical context of refugees and asylum seekers. For example, in when we're learning French, a big part of what they really like to talk about is, of course, French wine, which it's really wonderful part of French culture, but in the context of maybe refugees and asylum seekers, it's really not their biggest priority or need or even their desires. So we really want our content and our curriculum to be very tailored for refugees and asylum seekers. I believe that's kind of what makes us stand out the most.
Yeah, and in terms of content that you mentioned earlier, so we did interviews with refugees and asylum seekers in Europe and as well as in the Middle East. And based on the interviews we did, we heard them in we realized what content was truly needed and what where was the gap and what was missing. And that's how kind of we structured our curriculum and the content in our platform. And as well as from my experience and the experience of other refugees that we heard from, which allowed us to create a more tailored solution for them.
That sounds quite amazing. So basically, you grab all this participative methodology and you create a new curriculum, a curriculum that is not based on what you would get on a learning app like Babel or any of the other ones. You tailor it to the needs of your group, of the people that you want to reach out, which is in this case refugees. And you start with that, which makes all the sense because now these people have access to at least an idea on how or what they need to ask and how maybe they're going to get answered. That's amazing. But let's go back a little bit. Let's talk about the people that is with you because it's not only you anymore, right? 2 years ago that we made the first interview, I think it was 5 people more or less on the team. And now,
Yeah,
and now that I see your website, you have at least 10, which is amazing.
yeah. I feel like a big difference between our first original interview and now is that our team has really grown, both in terms of diversity and like in skills and also all around the world. So one of the big approaches we have is we set up little hubs and like a refugee coordinator system around the world. So hubs are usually students at schools that help us with going from translation to the app to designing posts to conducting local events in their kind of community to help spread the word about our app, but also engage and do fun cultural events with refugees and asylum seekers. And our coordinators are essentially refugees that we have build a strong connection with, and they are usually based in a camp or also refugee centers if they're in urban areas. And they're kind of, we say, like our eyes and ears on the ground, because obviously we are not in the camps physically everywhere at the same place. So the coordinators help also to share about the app and conduct local cultural events and then use the app and play games. It really depends on the context. And in return, they will help us feedback. So telling us what about the app can be really improved. Maybe there's some issues, technical side, or improvements can be made in the curriculum. And this feedback will help us work towards our ethos created by refugees for refugees, which is our whole intention and our goal. So this was kind of a major turning point, I suppose, for our organization, and really makes us be able to create a solution that's really tailored.
Yeah, I can see that all there is ILM, it's very much from the ground up, which is something that you should be proud about, because a lot of the projects, especially those projects that come from the global north, are usually from the top to the bottom, and that is obviously implying a lot of things, like white savior complex, believing that you know the answer to a specific problem on a specific locality, which is not true. And then what you guys are doing is going down with the representatives, obviously, creating these communities and start changing what you are offering, the product that you are offering. Quick, quick explanation for those who don't know: ILM is the only project that we have interviewed in the Voice of the South that is its headquarters are in the global north, or in the region known as the global north. They are working in Belgium, as I'm correct in that.
Yeah, we started in Belgium, but to be honest, our team is all spread around the world.
Your team is spread around the world, but you two are the headquarters, so to say. Are you
Yeah.
guys working in Belgium or in somewhere else?
Yes, indeed, in Belgium. Yeah.
In Belgium, yeah. Which is something that the Voices of the South is trying to avoid. But the way that you are creating the program, the way that you're interacting with the people on the ground, that seems for me something that needs to be recorded, needs to be propagated. I congratulate you on that. That's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah. So one other point I wanted to mention was like youth centers that we have started recently in Africa, especially. We have a youth center in Zaleka refugee camp in Malawi, where we actually worked with the existing refugees in the camp to set up a e-learning center for refugees and asylum seekers. And we got to collaborate with other existing organizations to send technological resources such as iPads and software to the center, and we are working with refugees in other parts of Africa and hopefully the world to set up such centers in different refugee camps. The refugees and asylum seekers can access it, and for us, it's extremely important to work with and enable our target audience to be able to help themselves and stand up on their feet for themselves and be self-sufficient.
That's amazing. I applaud you. I congratulate how you're conducting the project, because you're taking the really hard route here. You're not taking the easy one. It would be super easy to just create another clone of any other language tool, language application, and you're not doing it. You are really going down to with the people and working with them, which is amazing. Okay, let's step back a little bit. I want to ask something. I would like to know, at the beginning of the project, what do you think was the most difficult thing that happened? When were you like, this is difficult? Maybe we can change an idea, or maybe we need to rethink how we are doing it.
I think at least I can speak on my side. The biggest part challenge is that we started this project with just the two of us, with this idea, and we were at high school at the time, so we didn't really have like money or actually like the skills, I suppose, that we didn't have a, a bachelor's in linguistics or a degree in software engineering. So a lot of what we did in the beginning is really just trial and error and trying different things and combinations and really learning as we go, learning about the different fields that are education, pedagogy, software engineering, interface, UX, UI, design. And we really had to learn on the go and really be humble in the sense that really asking experts and also refugees and asylum seekers for their advice, for their knowledge, really learning as much as we could. And we had to really rely on ourselves. And that takes a lot of self discipline, especially if you don't really have money or a big team to help you to build something like so big as an app. Because creating a language app is actually one of the biggest kind of technical projects one could do with programming, and we really had to be consistent and work on it every day. Maybe I can also add more.
Yeah, I think the one of the main differences we had, difficulties we had in the beginning was also reaching out to other organizations in hearing back, for example, for potential collaboration or support regarding, for example, access to refugee camps and so on. That was one of the main difficulties that we had. And the more time we spend working on the platform in the community, in the app, and as time passed, we got to gain more and more, in a sense, our own place in the eyes of other existing organizations. And that was also one of the main reasons that we could collaborate with them after a year or a year and a half of our existence, because we were in a sense more established. And this collaboration was difficult in the beginning.
Yeah, that's a very good point because I remember in the beginning, the first year it was really hard to collaborate or do partnerships with organizations because it was the two of us, a very very small team at least, and we haven't reached to the scale that maybe they could take us seriously, I guess. So there was a lot of frustrating times, but I think looking back, it made us really really appreciate just the amazing individuals and organizations that were there just to give us some advice, willing to just take our call in the beginning when we were emailing so many people. So we really want to thank all the people in the beginning, especially because I think that was the hardest time to really get things started. And also all the refugees and asylum seekers that were willing to also be interviewed as well and filling our survey and giving us advice and being really, really patient with us while we were between every iteration.
Hi, this is Carlos, the host of the Voices of the South. The Voices of the South is a small project that mainly works thanks to the help of the people around the team. So if you like this episode and would like to help us, we will appreciate it a lot. The best way to help is to share the interview and subscribe to the podcast so other people can find us. Anyhow, thanks for being here and let's go back to the episode. Yeah, the start can be quite difficult, especially because you guys are social innovators. As any good social innovator is like, I want to do this. I have no idea how to do it, but I want to do this. So I'm just gonna keep going and learning and creating and changing until I manage to get it. But look at you guys, like what was 4 years after you started with this idea, which I would think that, or maybe, I don't know if you had that comment with your closest friends, families, they might be like, oh, you're crazy. What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, I think people still think we're pretty crazy.
But I mean, you might be, but you're making it. So,
Yeah, with ambition.
yeah, no, amazing. Okay, so let's go to the middle part of the interview. I like this part because this is the part where you can shine your biggest success, but also give a little bit of light to what could have been the biggest disaster or the big fuck up that you might have. The idea is for you who are, I would call you successful in a lot of ways, can share this success, even if it is something personal. It might be the first refugee that came with you and it was like, hey guys, thank you. I learned. Now I have been able to move through my life way easier. It might be the the award that you guys just got quite recently, or something else. That's to inspire. That's to be like, okay, if they started with zero knowledge about the topic that they wanted to do, and now they have reached this hard. It is possible. So we need to keep going. We can keep going. And the other one, the failure, the fuck up, is more or less in the same. Is to share that, yeah, even though you guys have managed to create such a successful app and are helping a lot of people, mistakes happen, and mistakes happen more often than not. But they are not the end of the road. So I don't know if you can share one for each of you, or you can share one together.
Yeah, perhaps we can start off with kind of a achievement or really like proud moment of our journey. So I already elaborated on the award. So a year ago, almost to this day, we were very very honored and fortunate to win first place in the European Shaman Youth Prize. which is awarded by the European Parliament and the International Charlemagne Prize of Aachen. And to be honest, when we applied this award, we had really no expectations, and we didn't think we would get to the finalist stage or even let alone like win the competition. But Abubakar attended the ceremony, and it was just so proud to see them recognize AILEM at such a like large European stage, international stage, and it felt like after the 3 year journey that we were on, it was like an accumulation of all the hard work and the recognition of the whole community that contributed to the app, from the team, that maybe people who were helped out for like maybe translating a document or doing a piece of artwork, to all the refugees and asylum seekers. So it was really special moment, and we're very proud to be able to represent our refugee asylum seeker community, our cause on the European stage.
And I'll talk about one of the challenging moments we had in the beginning. So in the beginning, we had like used different frameworks and programming languages for Android and iOS app of AILEM, and we wanted to migrate everything to a single code-based platform, which a cross-platform that works for all devices. And during the process of migration, in a point, all of our servers stopped working, and the app that we had worked on for almost like 8+ months, all of a sudden it crashed and nothing was working and functioning properly. So it was a very challenging moment, but thankfully we got to push through it, and we worked hard for a few weeks to make that migration happen to Flutter, which is a good platform. And then we have we had one code base for all of our platforms that's not working. So it was a very challenging moment for us.
Yeah, there's two events you can really see the very big contrast between, because we have very high highs in the sense of uh being recognized by the European Parliament, and we also have a lot of really frustrating moments of just programming and just trial and error and facing a lot of failures and frustrations and trying to adapt to it. And I feel like this journey, this aspect, isn't really highlighted or really seen in the public eye, because it's we. I feel like it's quite normal that we want to share our achievements or our positive outcomes and all our impact and goals, but a lot of the times, actually, I find that the areas of the hard work and kind of the nitty gritty is not really highlighted enough. So I think it's also really important to really share this for other social innovators to see that actually you might think that everyone around you doing all of these amazing like impact, they are really doing, I'm sure, doing a lot of amazing work, but there's like the other side of the coin where there's so much hard work and frustration put in that I also believe should be recognized, and really show the resilience of the, just being a social innovator and being able to juggle with so many different aspects and problems and challenges and also successes at the same time.
Absolutely. Being a social innovator has a lot of emotions. It's like a roller coaster. Some days you're in the top of the world, and some other days your work of 2 years disappears in a blink of an eye, which I imagine just the amount of stress that you guys had to deal with in that moment. Thank you for sharing. It's important to people to hear these mm, events, this juxtaposition of moments. One is as big as being awarded the Charlemagne Award from the EU. Uh, yeah, and the other one is to see the work of years disappearing for something that is not really under your control. But here you are, guys. Again, you managed to overcome that problem. You became better, and you keep going. And that's where we go to one of the last pieces of the interview: the future. You survive your servers. Sorry, your I forgot the name of it. You survive the code of your. You survive that your code disappeared, and you now have won the Charlemagne Award. What is coming in the next futures? What is coming in the next year? What's the future for ILM looking like?
In general, we just want to continue with our work with improving the app and just adding new features and also more languages, which is a really important aspect. So we really want to teach. We're in the works of uh, creating a German curriculum, which would be very useful in opening a lot of more opportunities for refugees and asylum seekers who are interested in learning German. Also, wanting to add other languages like Somali in the app as well. So in terms of the app side, those are areas that we're very excited to work on. And also a big part of what, as I will mention, is that we're pivoting towards providing educational opportunities to refugee camps, like in local youth centers. So we're working on a few fundraisers and campaigns to provide iPads and whiteboard projectors to refugee camps in Africa. And we're very excited on that as well. And maybe we can also talk about our upcoming event in Belgium.
Yeah, and we have this event happening in mid June in Belgium. We'll be inviting the local refugee community as well as locals themselves to come to our event, which will be a cultural exchange event between refugees and asylum seekers in the local community in Brussels. And where refugees and asylum seekers will get to present their culture, their art, and come for a fun day in a get together in Brussels.
Yeah, and the event was funded by the Wabudon Foundation, specifically the Brussels Leaders Fund. So with this grant, we hope that we can do something what we already do, but on a larger scale, and touch and impact more lives in the city, and just yeah, in general, hopefully we can also share the work of our app with a larger community there in Brussels as well. And then finally, it's actually around the same time as World Refugee Day. So also it would be a big day to kind of celebrate, but also highlight the lives of refugees around the
Sounds
world.
amazing. I saw in your webpage that you have done these events with refugees. I think the one that you show in the picture is the one in Swahili, although I'm not entirely sure. But that would be quite nice to have one in Brussels. One would believe that being in the global north, things are a little bit easier, but surprisingly, a lot of the times they ain't for a lot of reasons that I don't think we gonna explore today. But I'm glad to hear that you are working with the communities that you have geographically speaking closer to you, which is really nice. Well, I'm eager to see what is going to happen in that event, and do please send me the material. We can share it in our social media uh, if it helps. We would love to give a hand there. Okay, so let's go to the close of the interview, the last part. I want to ask you about what would you recommend to the social innovators that are starting, just in general, but I would really love it if you can pinpoint it towards social innovators or refugees in this case, Abubakar, and for female social innovators, Xinyao, if you want to. You can also give a general one, but I would love it if you could pinpoint it to those specific groups.
Yeah, I think I would say that in the beginning it's extremely challenging to start something, even if it's mainly for like social good and for a good purpose. And it's challenging to find collaborations and partnerships and people who can support you. And but however, with consistency in time, one can learn on how to be part of like the bigger solution into a bigger problem. And what approaches to take in order to solve the problem and find a solution for it. Collaborate with others, work with others, and also learn. It's a learning process all along.
Yeah, and especially with consistency in general, I think with any project, it's really important. I believe that what really helped us is that we worked on it almost every day consistently, even if it was just maybe doing like writing one short story for the curriculum or really spending all day on the coding. As long as we work on it every day and consistently remind us why are we doing this? What is our drive to create this app? And working on it consistently means that we never forget that. And just being like always talking to refugees and asylum seekers, really always engaging with your target users consistently also really provides us a lot of drive and motivation to do what we do. And in terms of female social innovators, I believe that actually one, I believe that if you are interested in creating your own social innovation, really tap into kind of the network of amazing female leaders and also talented uh, social innovators around the world, because I believe that there really is a strong network out there for females, and they're really open and really willing to work with especially young and up and coming innovators to really take advantage of the networks, either it's online or really physically in your local community through universities or internships. Uh, I really feel that there is a very welcoming and opening community out there for
I
that.
guess we can concrete it. We can consolidate it into having some discipline. It's hard, but having some discipline will definitely help you, along with consistency and reaching to your network. Is that correct then?
Yes, I think. Yeah, I hope it's useful.
Look, what I have learned from the different interviews that I have had over the years is that everybody has a little bit of knowledge that is quite important. A lot of the recommendations go around that topic, being don't losing hope and keep trying and keep working and don't stop because failures might happen to you. A lot of the recommendations go around that one. It, it, I'm sure that it would help. Sometimes hearing these words of relief, of motivation to reach something else, it it would help. I'm absolutely sure of that. Okay, so how can people help you making ILM even more successful? What would ask you guys ask people to do to help you?
Well, we're always interested in meeting new people, so you can always reach out to us either through social media on Facebook and Instagram or through email at hello@ilemapp.org or on our website as well. We can provide you with all the information after this podcast. And if you're just interested in perhaps their translate or add to the curriculum, or you're really interested in marketing and doing design, or even programming, or wanting to just do a one-off event with refugees and asylum seekers in your community, I think we'll be very excited to work with you.
Yeah, I mean, the last part is where can people reach you out? Which you can say it now. If anybody, yeah, if anybody wants to reach you out, you have your webpage, you have your Instagram. I don't know what else, and how can people find you?
I think the best way is through our email. So hello@ilemapp.org. Also our website at ilemapp.launch.org. And also we have social media if you want to follow our work. And you can always direct message us as well on these platforms. And we'll get back to you as soon as possible.
And I suppose that also the app has a contact option, no? Which
Yeah.
obviously, if you're looking to learn any of the languages, you are a refugee or not, please consider checking the app. That I would think that helps also. Okay, this is the last part of the interview. It's open for you guys. If you want to add anything, please go ahead.
And so, once again, thank you so much for inviting us again. Very happy to share our journey. And it's really interesting to see how much we've changed from that first interview till now, and how crazy that a few years can really make a big difference to our work. Do you want to say something about the refugees and asylum seekers, Abu?
Yeah, thanks a lot for inviting us again to this interview. And I think I would just openly call everyone, to get to know refugees as asylum seekers, get to know their lives and their struggles, and hopefully create a more welcoming societies for them and help them easily integrate in their new communities and new homes.
There is definitely a complex situation going with refugees around the world. There are groups that are coming out being extremely aggressive towards refugees, especially in the global north. And it's super interesting because the global north only has 25% of the total refugees in the world, which I mean, it's not really that much when you see the numbers and you see that the majority of the refugee crises are happening to neighboring countries. So yeah, if you have the chance to be more open, to be compassionate about what these people are going through, that would be amazing. It was a pleasure again to have you guys here. I'm really happy that I got the chance to talk with you again for a second time, and happy that you took the invitation again. That would be all, and thank you very much for hearing. Thank you so much for staying with us after the episode. We would like to thank our patrons who are the main supporters of the podcast, and we hope to see you soon on the next episode of the Voices of the South.